Hello, music fans. How's everyone doing? Welcome back. Thanks for taking the time to tune in today. Taking a break from the workday to film a hopefully not epic video on the career of Robert Plant. And the reason I decided to do Robert Plant today was because, well, Robert Plant, Led Zeppelin, you know I'm going to go over as much as I can here in a reasonable amount of time, is because it's his birthday today. Happy 67th birthday to Robert Plant. And what a career. I mean, what can you say about a guy who has been around so long and done so many things, so many wonderful albums, so much great music. What a contribution, a musical legacy that is unmatched by hardly anybody. So I think we can all agree that Led Zeppelin are unique, one of a kind, probably one of the most, if not the most beloved band of the 70s. You know, I really have not enough adjectives to describe how many people probably know a lot more than I do and are more familiar and love Led Zeppelin more than I do even. And I would consider myself a pretty big fan. So anyway, today's video is purely a tribute video for Robert Plant fans, and in particular, I suppose, Led Zeppelin fans. But I'm going to show you my Robert Plant stuff after I go through the Led Zeppelin albums I have, just simply because I pulled it out, and you know, you can't do a Robert Plant birthday tribute video without talking about his solo work, because it's, you know, he's been a solo artist for twice as long as he was in Led Zeppelin, so you know, it's impossible not to go over some of that. And while I don't have it all, you know, I've got a good chunk of it, and I'm happy to share it with you. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll get right to it. Led Zeppelin discography, we all know, starts in 1969 with their self-titled debut album. And I've got, with the Led Zeppelin stuff, other than I think one exception, I've got two different versions to show you today, so hopefully you don't mind that. I've got a copy each now of these remastered, recent reissues on the Led Zeppelin catalog that I will say are wonderfully done. They each come with a bonus disc if that's the route you go. If you just want the original album, you can go that route too. They're available in CD or vinyl formats. They're available for a very expensive box set edition of, you know, I think you get the vinyl records and the CDs in a book, and they're just crazy expensive. So I know a couple people who have taken the plunge and collected all of them, and you know, those are the super fans that probably should be making this video much more than I should be making it. But you know, these remastered editions were personally overseen by Jimmy Page, who you all know who that is, and I think they're really, really well done. One of the best remastered series I've ever heard. And for those that own these on vinyl, yeah, I'm sure you agree that they're super well done, very high quality. And I liked my option on these was to get the ones with the bonus discs. This is a 3 LP set. The majority of these are 2 LPs, and this contains a second and third LP of bonus material. Gosh, you know, I don't know if you want me to go through all these tracks, because a lot of them are the same songs. They're just different takes, or there's some sort of very obscure mix change, or earlier versions of it. You know, sometimes I will admit on some of these it's very hard to, you know, if you walk away and think, am I playing the original version or am I playing the bonus version of that song? It's almost difficult to hear it. You really have to pay attention in some of them, because they're not, I wouldn't say it's a necessity, it's not a must-have thing, unless you just are really interested in hearing alternative takes and different versions, and they call them different mixes, but it is very hard at times to decipher what the differences are. Not always, but a lot of times it is very difficult. But anyway, Led Zeppelin I, 1969, this is what started it all for Robert Plant and the band Led Zeppelin, and many would consider this the greatest debut album of all time. Had many, many hits on it, and since I don't want this video to be super epic, I'm not going to go through track listings and favorite songs on this particular video. But here is my, I can't call it original, it's probably a repress of some sort from the 80s, but I do have older copies, let's put it that way, older copies of the Led Zeppelin catalog. Nothing terribly unique about any of them, I don't think. They're very common. These albums sold millions of copies, so there's thousands of different variants and versions and numbers and everything else of them. if any of mine are unique, I'd be very surprised. So anyway, I know there are purists out there who would probably die to have original copies of some of these Led Zeppelin albums, and I would reckon that they would command a pretty big price tag. Okay, from there we go to 1969 and Led Zeppelin II. This is the 2 LP repress on the remastered series. You do get a bonus, 1 disc bonus on this one. Most of them, again, are 2 takes. Again, it's like A Whole Lot of Love, the first track. This is a rough mix with vocal. And while you can hear the difference on that one, some of them you can't hear much difference on it. So, Led Zeppelin II, great follow-up, no sophomore slump. Many people consider their first 4 albums, the pinnacle, the peak of their career. I do think that they had a couple good albums after that as well that rank as high or higher than their first 4, but, their first 4 albums, they're really remarkable. I mean, for a band that was just starting, really, pretty amazing, especially that, Led Zeppelin I, I'm reading here, was released in January '69, and Led Zeppelin II was released in October 1969. That's only, what, a 9-month gap between albums, and you think of all, you could put the 2 together and you've got a greatest hits package. That's how good they are. Here's my original copy. Well, I'm using the word original. I know they're not original. Older copy of Led Zeppelin II. This one's got stains on it even. It's been well loved through the years and well loved by me. So just want to show you both versions of it. Led Zeppelin III came along in October 1970, so almost exactly 1 year apart from Led Zeppelin II. I will say that, I'll show you on Led Zeppelin IV because it's a better example. I'll save that comment for it. But this is a 2 LP pressing again on the remastered pressing. And bonus tracks on this one. You get just alternative mixes, the track Friends with no vocal, just different rough mixes of songs. So I'm not sure how much you need the 2 LP pressings of these, but they're not that much more than the single ones, so I'd say if you're going to buy these remasters, you may as well get this one. So here is my older copy of Led Zeppelin III, back cover here. And I will say all of these older copies are in very nice playing condition, and they're really in pretty good overall condition. These are really nice copies, and this has the spinning wheel still. It works. You can change the album cover, and they were kind of known for doing that a bit throughout their career, as far as making things a little bit animated and exciting and fun. So Led Zeppelin III, many people consider that one of their top albums, and I do as well. Now, Led Zeppelin IV is my favorite, my personal favorite Led Zeppelin album, and I just wanted to point out, I can't talk about Led Zeppelin IV. It's a perfect album. Every song on here was a FM radio standard, and still is to this day. But one thing I wanted to point out, one flaw I think that they made with these remasters, as good as they are, and it's all about sound and how faithfully they restored it. And that portion of it is fantastic. But whoever put together the packaging could have done a much better job on the way that they tried to put. This is the only place that you can get the track listing anywhere on these albums, is this back sticker, and you have to peel it off to get it open, obviously, unless you want to, not open it and enjoy the gatefold, which I don't recommend doing. I mean, you want to enjoy, this is a nice double gatefold album, so why not open it up and enjoy it, right? Well, there's anywhere on these albums that the track listing is anywhere on this except for these god-awful large stickers. And you peel it off, and they peel off relatively easy, but getting them back on in any type of protective sleeve is like, forget about it. And as you can see, they bubble up real easy. I've tried to be so careful on all these and tried to put them on straight and keep them so I can follow the tracks without being on a computer or on my phone, or some of them are obviously easier than others because I've played them more often, but I'm just the type of person that likes to know what song is on and make sure I got the titles right and the track sequencing right and all that. And these stickers are just terrible. So that's my only complaint with these remasters, is why couldn't they come up with a better plan than just this terrible sticker on the back of them? But hey, most people would be like, oh, shut up, it's no big deal. But, I'm picky, I guess. So here's my older copy of Led Zeppelin IV. As you can see, no sticker. And, you know, I'll show you the differences in the gatefold, I suppose, if you want. It doesn't have the double gatefold, but they did a great job with the artwork. They did a great job with the colorings. They did a really nice job with faithfully restoring these new remastered editions to original expectations. So from there, from Led Zeppelin IV in November of '71, you go to an album that took a couple years to come out, and almost a couple years, and that is Houses of the Holy in 1973. Here's the remastered edition of that. And you know, these stickers I've just peeled off and re-put on my Blake sleeve. I like to try to keep things looking new. But great album still. You know, people who gave up on Led Zeppelin after their first four are missing out, in my opinion, because they still had a few good albums up their sleeve. Here's my older copy of Led Zeppelin IV. Front and back cover, kind of a very unusual cover. And here's the inside. I guess I'm showing you more of the originals just simply because it's easier. You know, I've just got these in polythene sleeves, and I can just pull them out really easy without having to unzip my Blake sleeves and all that, so hope you don't mind. Okay, so from Houses of the Holy, you go to 1975's Physical Graffiti. This would probably be my second favorite Led Zeppelin album, actually. It's hard to rank. I mean, I could probably change every day. I recently posted something on Facebook about my album ranking. It's probably different today than it was that day. This is my original copy, actually, my old copy, but it still has the windows where you can adjust the lettering and how the building looks and whatnot on this album. I would say again, you know, all these copies that I have of my older Led Zeppelin are really nice playing copies. But I really did fall in love with these remasters, so I went out and picked them up, all of them. This is the 40th Anniversary Deluxe Edition 3 LP set of Physical Graffiti. So this one you actually have 3 LPs. So you're going to pay a little bit more for this one. You're going to pay a little bit more for the first one. And you're going to pay a little bit more for Coda coming up here soon. But Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti is a wonderful album. I mean, again, the whole album is like a greatest hits package. Okay, from there it does go south a little bit for me. The last 3 albums are not up to the standards of the first 6, and yet they're still good. You know, when I say they're not up to the standards, those are very high standards. So you've got 1976's Presence, and you could kind of see that the band was maybe not into it as much. You know, maybe they just weren't feeling it like they used to. Those damn bubbles again. I tried so hard. But, you know, there's still great songs. I mean, this album's worth it alone just for the opening track of, you know, Achilles' Last Stand is so good. It's not as complete of an album, but there's still enough on it that you just got to have it in your collection if you're a Led Zeppelin fan. So, and I'm sure everyone is pretty well complete on this. I'm not showing you anything you haven't seen 1,000 times. I'm just celebrating Robert Plant's birthday today is all I'm doing. Okay, 2 more albums in their repertoire. They had sorry, my years. That's one thing I never memorize are years. 1979's In Through the Outdoor is their last studio album, and this is the remaster. This is the one that came originally in the paper bag, and that's how they did it in the remastered edition. Is that they replicated the paper bag, which is fantastic. You can, again, peel off the back sticker, which I've attempted to do, and I would say it's quite a lot of effort to get to this album. You know, you got to take it out of the Blake sleeve, then you got to take it out of the paper bag, and it's a little bit hard to get to, but what's inside is worth it. Not a bad record here at all, and you know, certainly, you know, Led Zeppelin didn't put out a bad album. I would just say the last 2 studio albums and then Coda are not as good as the first 6. Here is what the album looks like once you do get to it. Nice, interesting cover that is debatable about what the meaning is and why they picked it and all that good stuff. So I'll let you guys look that up online. There's thousands of stories about it. And then finally, they released unreleased songs, B-sides, whatever you want to call it, unreleased bonus material, I guess, after the band broke up. In 1982, they released Coda, and this is the remastered edition of Coda. A lot of songs on here, and I would say this is probably the one to get, really, on the remasters, because you get a lot of stuff that didn't come with the original album on this one, and I would say that alone is worth it. This, again, is a 3 LP set, so you get a lot of songs that you didn't get with the original Coda album, and this is worth your money. I do not have an original Coda on vinyl, well, or an older copy even of Coda on vinyl, so this was kind of my first vinyl experience with this album, and I do enjoy it, so that's kind of nice. A couple other things to show you in my Zeppelin collection before I get on to Robert Plant's solo. We're at 15 minutes, so not too bad. I do have a nice copy that I just recently got of The Song Remains the Same, the 2 LP live album of Song Remains the Same. So I was really happy to get this. I do not know if they plan on doing a remastered edition of the same series. I would guess that they would, because why not? I'm sure everybody who's bought the others would buy that, and I probably would as well. But I found this really, really inexpensive for $5. And look at the condition. It's so nice. This is one of the best conditions I've ever found in a thrift store here locally in Round Rock. Just recently, a couple weeks ago, for $5. So, wow, you know, somebody was looking after me that day, that's for sure. And then, while I wish I had both on vinyl, Robert Plant and Jimmy Page did reunite for a couple albums, one in 1984 and 1994, and one in 1998. I do not have the 1998 one. I have it on cassette tape, and I forgot to pull that out. I do have Walking into Clarksdale on cassette tape. I didn't pull it out, so sorry for that. And I didn't pull out the Led Zeppelin box set that I have from, you know, probably the early 90s. I have that on cassette. That's the 4 cassette or 4 CD, and there was a vinyl version of that. I do have that on cassette. Forgot to pull them out, sorry. But I do have this, and I haven't had this that long, and I'm really happy to tell you that I have a copy of 1994's No Quarter, which was a combination of new material and live material that the two of them did together for a project called Unleaded, which I think was created for MTV at the time. But this is so good. Oh my gosh, this was worth every penny I paid for it. As you can see, it's still in the shrink wrap. It wasn't sealed when I bought it, but it was still in the shrink wrap. And it was unplayed, untouched. It's in beautiful condition. And I guess I will show you the gatefold real quick on this, because this is probably my most valuable piece in my... Well, I can't show you the gatefold. I've left it in the shrink. So anyway, this is well worth it if you can find a copy of this on vinyl. I do have the cassette tape of this as well, but doesn't compare at all. So this, if you can find it, unfortunately, maybe they'll reissue this one, and this is worth it. This is that's really, really good. So No Quarter from 1994. So let's talk about Robert Plant's solo career a little bit. I'm going to have to go a little bit quick, and I'm just going to show you what I've got. If you really want to dig deep into a solo career, this is what I recommend. This is the 9 Lives box set. This is really, really well done. You get a lot of bonus tracks with each album. It's wonderfully put together. This is just one of my favorite box sets. I'm going to attempt, I mean, you open it up and you get inside here, you get a very, very thick book. It is a little tricky to pull it out, so I don't know how much I'm going to do of that on camera. But on the inside, you get each album in its own individual sleeve, and each album contains bonus songs unavailable on the album. So there's the first 2. You get Honey Drippers. You get everything he's done up until Mighty Rearranger, I think it was the last one. Yeah, Mighty Rearranger in 2005, I believe, was the last one. Oh, you do get 9 Lives, the DVD as well. So there's a lot on here. This is well worth it. It's not cheap, but I think it's well worth the money. You can probably find a good copy of this for about $50, and that's a really inexpensive way to get, what, 10 albums or something like that, plus a live DVD, plus all the bonus songs, plus the book. Really, really great. So 9 Lives CD box set for Robert Plant might be your best bet when it comes to starting out your Robert Plant solo collection. On vinyl, I'll just go through what I have really quickly, because most of these you can find super inexpensive. Pictures at 11, his debut, great album. And Principle of Moments, another solid album. Has a bit of an 80s feel to it, but that's okay. Then I've got a copy of Shaken and Stirred. Good work here again. You know, he was still really kind of at the peak of his game, I'd say. Well, I don't have all these on vinyl, so I'm just going to show you what I do have. I've got a copy of Honey Drippers, which is a silly, you know, 4-track kind of rockabilly, old 50s kind of sound to it that he did with a bunch of other people. I've forgotten who they are. But it was very popular back in the 80s, and a big hit for him. Big hit for Robert Plant. My favorite solo album without any collaboration or anything so far, right now, today, I guess would be Manic Nirvana. I love this album. This is cool. This is the gatefold copy. This is the numbered gatefold. Here's my number on that one. Not terribly low, but I'm just happy to have it. Really good. And I gotta show you the man. I want to show you what he looks like, because I just think he looks so badass in this gatefold. I mean, he's got to be one of the greatest frontman of all time. You know, just the way he looks and his swagger and his voice. I mean, he was born to be a rock and roll star. There's no doubt in my mind. And here's what he looked like at the time of the recording here, and I just love that picture of Robert Plant. Not so crazy about all the hair and whatnot on the rest of the guys, but, you know, Robert Plant is just the man. I mean, he is just a classic rock and roll frontman for me. And I gotta spend a little bit of time talking about this album. This album here, Raising Sand, that he did with Alison Krauss. Big Alison Krauss fan as well. Someday I'll do a video on her. But this won Album of the Year in 2007. If you haven't heard this album, do yourself a favor and go hear it, because this is one hell of an album. These two have such great harmonies and such great vocal collaboration that I just could not tell you how good this album is. I know I talked my good friend James Lack into giving it a try, because he's a Led Zeppelin fan and a Robert Plant fan, and he fell in love with it. And sometimes he can be a bit of a hard person to please musically, and if he likes it, I think everybody who likes Robert Plant would like it. Alison Krauss fans, it's a wonderful album. Another good album that he came up with in, let's see what year this came out, 2010, was The Band of Joy. This has got a really nice etched D-side, on the D-side. Good album here. Not his greatest work ever, I don't think, but certainly worth it if you're a Robert Plant fan. And then finally, just here in 2014, he released an album that deserves a lot more attention. That is Lullaby in the Ceaseless Roar. I was very reluctant to get this for some reason. I don't know why. I just thought it was really expensive, because it was in the $40 range. And I thought, oh, it's just too much. I'm going to wait for it to go down, and then out of sight, out of mind. It took me almost a year to buy this, because I just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and I'm so glad I finally got it, because this is one of his best solo albums, and I mean that in all sincerity. Out of all of them, this is really worth your money. And if you've heard it, you probably would agree with me that he's back in fine form here. While his voice has aged and he's not screaming down the mic like he did in Led Zeppelin days, the man still has it. He still has a flair about him. He still has a persona that is unlike anybody else, and it comes out in that album. There's some great songs on there, and it's well worth picking up. So again, it has a really nice etched D-side. Kind of been his trademark for the last couple albums, is to do a nice etching on the D-side, so it is just 3 sides. But man, it's worth it. If you can find it for about $30, get it before they're gone, because I don't know how many they made of those. Anyway, that is my tribute to Robert Plant, in particular Led Zeppelin and his solo work. I hope you enjoyed it. This video, I was looking forward to making it on Robert Plant's birthday. I'm sure he's watching, you know, so happy birthday, Robert Plant. You know, because you got nothing better to do in life than to watch my stupid videos, right? So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked it, and I'll be back on the weekend to unveil the winner of the contest. That'll be Saturday night, Sunday morning, something like that. We finally get to figure out who wins the Tame Impala records. So look forward to doing that with you, and until next time, take care, spin a lot of great music, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.